All right, everybody. Thanks for joining another take of In the Lead Off the Record. My name is Kyle Cheslock. I am the VP of Sales. Chase Shields, our CEO, will be popping in here in a minute. He's getting himself some water. But in the meantime, we got a pretty good topic today. We're going to talk about controlling the sale. For those of you that are viewing this on Facebook, I'd love to see a like. If you have any questions, comments, things you want to discuss while we're talking here, feel free to chat into us. We are monitoring that. We're also on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Post a lot of content on there. Twitter, all at The Lead Tool. So feel free to check us out there. A lot of good stuff for you guys today. So in the meantime, let's dive right in. So, we talk a lot about sales here. Obviously, we are a sales organization focused heavily on CRM. But in the meantime, controlling the sale comes down to a lot of your conversation, right? And in a retail setting, which I've worked in a retail setting, you've worked in a retail setting. A lot of times we have a tendency just to become an order taker. Customer comes in, this is what I'm looking for, or thanks, no, I'm just browsing, and you just kind of take it. And you don't really provide a lot of value around what your expertise is, and you're the professional. So at the end of the day, having a diverse, not only primary questions, which we'll talk about, but your secondary questions as well, will help you kind of control that sale, if you will. And I think it all comes down to that initial interaction with them, right? They come in the door, and what's your first take of it?
Yeah, I think so often people are lackadaisical just kind of in their approach, because for so long it was when you showed up at the store, you wanted to buy something.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like...
Or you ask what section it is or where this is at.
Yeah, I mean more kind of like walking through a grocery store. And then, salespeople didn't necessarily have to work as hard, and now competition is a lot more fierce. I mean, you've got...
It's all over the place.
Like we were just talking about, manufacturers who will drop ship products for e-commerce vendors. Yeah. And e-commerce is about as easy as it gets for a customer.
That didn't really exist 10 years ago, really. I mean, it's still in its infancy.
Not at the level that it does now.
Yeah.
I think, you've got to control... I don't know if control's the right word, or just... I guess it is, like, I think when we say control, at least I don't mean, like...
physically control.
Like you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
It's more like kind of having a plan for the sale, which is kind of it's
kind
part
of
your sale,
them, right?
It's your sale process. Yeah, because you got to find out. You got to ask questions. One way to do it is ask questions that they're not thinking about.
Open-ended, right?
Yeah.
You want to ask really open-ended questions right off the bat when you have that first conversation.
That's the first, and that's the key. I think the key is that's part of establishing the need, and it's always open-ended. It's never yes, no.
Exactly. Right off the rip, too. So if you're asking yes-no questions, you're going to have a really difficult time getting to the actual point of sale with them. And again, you really transition into an order taker at that point. Asking open-ended questions, what brings you in today?
Yeah, or how far along are you on your project? When are you looking to get started? Like, kind of...
What room are you in?
Yeah, and figuring stuff like that out, because there's so much expertise that salespeople have to offer, and that's kind of...
Especially, you got 20 years experience, 25 years
But
experience.
It requires you to interact with the customer, so the first step to taking control of the sales, interact with the customer.
Right, and we're talking like right off the rip, too. So I was just in a lumber yard the other day here in town, and... I just went in there to do maybe like, a little secret shopping or whatever. I want to check out the goods, see, kind of see for myself what I'm looking at here. And, I had an idea going in there. I want to look at some decking for the house. So, I spent a number of time in there, kind of walking around the aisles. This is the same experience a lot of people have that I talk to from a consumer standpoint. You're walking around, you got your counter guys up there kind of talking amongst each other. There's nobody really on the floor helping you out. If you do get help, it's it's typically just one question: need any help? And that's that. most consumers will say, no, I'm just browsing.
And I think the question or the problem there is that it's like you're driving someone away from your business by seeming like it's inconvenient to interact with them. Like, that doesn't necessarily make people feel good. And I think that's something that I think we see a lot is not being proactive about interacting. And even if, like,
just a hi,
you are proactive, hey, what brings
Welcome.
you in today? And it's, oh, just browsing. Okay, well, is there anything in particular I can point you in the direction of? Like, they're going to give you an idea. Like,
and you're controlling the sale at that point, right? You're not just taking that initial no.
It's not, and I mean, you're still helping them, and you're not violating, because, I mean, what are they going to say then? It goes, we could do a big decision tree on this.
Yeah, for sure.
Just browsing. Well, is there anything in particular I can point you in the direction of? No. Yeah. Okay, done. Great, let me know if you need me. Yeah, actually, I'm looking for tile. Oh, okay, cool. Is the tile going into a laundry room? Is it going into what room is it going into? Well, it's going in all of a sudden. Because
you're out from behind the counter helping the person.
Again, retail home improvement, people are not window shopping. It's just not happening. It's not. It's just.
They're not coming there on a Saturday morning just to hang out.
Yeah, and you can win against price if you're worried about, well, they're showrooming me. You can win against price by employing these tactics because you have better service, and if you have a warehouse, you might have it today, or you might have, absent and I think the DIY market is actually relatively small by my last count, and certainly that's not going to apply to commercial. So if you're running a commercial showroom where you got, where you're, a wholesaler and you got builders coming through or something like that, it's not really going to be as big of a deal because e-commerce is not hit B2B like it's hit B2C.
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And I think, and again, controlling the sale isn't necessarily about like, hey, you're going to do this, and this.
It sounds so oppressive, but it's not. It's
about having good primary open-ended questions that allow you to then, get into your secondary questions, which is really where the meat is in the conversation. It's where you find out everything that's going on, whether it's one room, they have additional rooms that they're looking at remodeling.
Yeah, or if it's a builder with...
They have a builder that's got...
Is it a multi-family project?
Exactly.
Is it a single-family project? Is it hospitality? What is it? And I think that you've got to approach these people like they're going to walk away with something good from you, whether or not they buy from you. And you can't really care at that initial interaction if they you've just got to be there to say,
particularly it's new business, right? It's not a repeat customer. Repeat customers can be
and I mean this is definitely for new business, and I mean the same stuff applies when you go outbound on a cold call calling a construction company for the first time. If
you're an outside sales rep, pretty common.
Yeah, you know exactly what it is, but I think
you're driving around from site to site.
I think right now the biggest where this applies the most though is in retail, because retail is getting completely turned on its head. I don't care what anyone says about how busy they are. If it hasn't hit you today, it's coming.
Was it Ashley Furniture?
The executive VP was just talking about what did he say?
At their conference, I think he was talking about where.
Gene's a sharp guy. Yeah. I've talked to Gene more than once.
They got 3,500 stores all across the country.
No, Ashley has more than that.
There's 23 brands.
23 brands so far.
Closing
in Q1 of 17. 23 brands are already closing 3,500 stores on top of 9,000 that closed last year.
Yeah, Credit Suisse is predicting $9,000 this year.
9,000 this year. Okay. And like Gene said, you can either choose, and this is so it's geared towards every business, but retail. And look, things hit retail first, and then they hit wholesale because it takes a little bit longer. So don't think if you're a wholesaler that you're off the hook. You're not. You can either get in front of the wave and learn to surf, or wait and see and get crushed by it. For all my retail friends out there, be eyes wide open and make a decision to be a disruptor, not the disrupted. So. Again, I think that kind of says, why this stuff is it's part of why it's important, and again, goes very much back towards all the stuff we've gone on and on and on about sales process, consumer experience. No one gives a shit how you did it 40 years ago. No one gives a shit that you've been there for 20 years or that you're the neighborhood store. like
everybody's calling cards customer service.
Change is coming for you, and this is one way that you can prevent.
Well, it's a different experience, right? So this comes back to we always talk about creating memorable experiences, right? So any consumer can walk into any retail operation and just have the experience I just described. That's 9 out of 10 retail stores that I've been into in the last year. That's the experience.
Yeah, and
this is where you can really start separating yourself simply by having a different conversation, and at the same time you're controlling that part of the sale.
You're and maybe it's not. I guess it's kind of guiding it. You're helpfully guiding the person that's in front of you. You really can't care about whether or not they buy from you today. Like, you can't have
because they're not. More than likely they're not.
I would say it's the car salesman, the 70s car salesman attitude, but from everything I've seen in home improvement retail, it's their attitude too.
Yeah.
They're like, if you're not in front of me right now buying, well, someone's in front of you, so you just kind of have to not care if they're browsing, ask them, well, can I point you in the right direction at least?
Change in attitude.
Be helpful. Yeah, it's a totally different change in attitude. And look, there's a lot to be said for persistent follow up and being persistent about certain things. But in your conversations, you don't have to be necessarily too forward. Especially because you got someone coming in front of you. Again, we're not talking about going outbound.
This is everybody that's walking through your door.
Yeah, when you're going outbound, you got to push, period. I mean, that's the end of the story. But when you're talking about controlling the sale, when someone's in front of you, whether or not they say they want to buy today, it doesn't matter, because what they may remember is that you helped them even when they said they weren't going to buy, and you point it, and then you
memorable experience.
Yeah, it's so again, and that doesn't come down to, they're not going to have. You might think, well, I've got all these products. We've got more products than the guy down the street, so I can ignore the customer. Customers don't give a shit about your product rack. They will
go to the store situation online, whatever, to find that experience.
So, number one, get out of the back and interact. Get out from behind the counter, interact with the customer, find out what brought them in.
And a lot of times, we talk about quality, service, and price a lot. That will take price right out of the situation. If it's coming down to you in a Home Depot or Lowe's or another competitor down the street that has a better price. A lot of times the shift in consumers' mentality, if they're going to get the service and the quality, they're not really going to give a shit about the price.
Yeah, and that's very true, and that's why all this stuff is going to hit wholesale too, because Amazon's even got a wholesale division that'll deliver stuff to your job site.
Furniture, Amazon's recruiting furniture companies right now.
And actually a friend of mine, his largest channel is Amazon. He does ready to assemble furniture. They're huge.
Yeah.
They're in Walmart. Amazon's their biggest channel though.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, after you get past this initial conversation, there's still a lot to be said for thoughtfully, you can call it controlling the sale or thoughtfully guiding the sale, because I know, not all the time has everyone already made one of these big ticket purchases or done, a kitchen remodel or build a house or whatever.
It takes time.
And it's saying, hey, okay, so when you get to the point where you've established, yes, the person is going to buy from me, and this probably isn't going to be on the initial conversation, though it might be. Because with consumers, with retail, they're coming in so educated, but also laying out how the rest of the sale looks and being really transparent. The more transparent you are, the more control you actually. It's not the more control you have, but the more trust you have. So the easier the sale is for the customer.
Well, you're controlling by giving them control.
Right? Here's how this looks. So now that you've told me you like this product, here are the next actions we need to take. And then they happen on this timeline. Here's what I need from you in order to be able to execute on this to deliver. So there's all this, that's part of it too. And being, I think, the transparency, in the same way you're trying to get the customer initially to be transparent with you, when you turn the transparency around for them after you've established they're going to buy, it allows you to maintain, the insight, the value, and more importantly, the trust. Of saying, hey, no one else explained to me it's going to take this long, or why it's going to take this long, or what this looks like, or that they have to special order this molding because it's not in they don't stock it or stuff like that.
Or even, coming down to like, our pricing includes the padding and the flooring. It's not nickel and dime. Like all these little things like that, where you can get as detailed as you possibly can about what they're buying, what the process is going to look like, will give you a leg up on the competition because they're not doing that. Nobody's really doing that.
Yeah, a lot of them aren't until like the sales actually close. So the more you can kind of like fill everyone in on what's going to happen and what needs to happen and why, the better it is. That way they're not looking at a contract last minute being like, oh, here's my buyer's order. You guys are charging me like, you're charging me for this strip molding, or, you've got crown in here that I didn't want, or you didn't tell me that my cabinetry hardware was going to be extra, stuff like that.
It stops becoming a dollar and cents purchase and starts becoming an emotional purchase.
Yeah, it's a lot easier because
which endears you more.
Yeah, and it removes like the
friction.
Friction and also skepticism. So if you're just like, hey, here's what we're charging you for, here's what this includes, here's what if you want this, it's going to cost X, here's Y.
Which there's going to be a natural level of skepticism if the average consumer right now. I think in flooring in particular, they're visiting 3 shops before they make a decision. So more than likely, they're going to get 3 different opinions, 3 different conversations, 3 different experiences.
Yep, and that's so that's where you have the competitive edge. It's like where we do lead generation. We knew if we sent a lead to 4 stores that 2 of them wouldn't bother. 1 of them at least wouldn't bother to respond. 1 would take a week, 1 would take hours, and 1 would probably take less than an hour. And the one who got less, so we knew we were good for we knew that 50% of the time someone was going to get tended to in a reasonable fashion. But the one who responds most quickly is always going to get the sale. So
100%.
That's again, hey, what are you looking for? That whole type of thing.
In the sale too, it's not only the human to human interaction. We talk a lot about the process. We talk about how this is all intertwined together, and it even includes your website. I can't tell you how many websites I've seen where it's got a contact us form, and then it says we'll respond within 2 business days. That doesn't cut it anymore.
No, not when you can go on like Amazon. I mean, hell, like you mentioned flooring. I was looking at flooring online, and I mean, dude, like Google Shopping has tons of it. It's on Amazon. It's on and I mean, well,
companies drop ship it
it's
now.
Not like everyone talks about Wayfair. Wayfair's big, but like it's on Amazon. It's on like Google's consolidating it and doing price comparisons for you. Like, why do they care if you're going to take a day to respond to them, or you're not going to show them what you got in stock on your website that's from 2012?
Or take the time to ask them questions when they're in your showroom.
And that's controlling the sale before you even interact, because you control what information you're putting out there and you're making visible to your digital consumers before they become your in-person consumers.
Which in turn helps your sales guys in the showroom floor.
Yeah, it drives people into the store. We talked about this at one point not long ago, and not to sound like broken records, but the local inventory ads are when you show your inventory on Google, you are 74% more likely to trigger an in-store visit from the person who is searching for it. And mobile search is huge now. The statistics are stupid. So I mean, you got to think like, and when you think about controlling the sale, it's another point. Is like, think about like what you're doing, because your website now is really your digital storefront. So what are you doing and what are you providing on your website? Why are you doing that? What can a consumer get from your site versus what can they get from everyone else online? And you don't have to be Amazon. I'm not saying that, but like, if they find something on Amazon and you have that same product, how do they know that you have the same product? And don't tell me because the brand logo is on there, because like, flooring for the most part to the consumer is relatively homogenous. This is something I listen to every flooring manufacturer talk about, is building a brand. Well, dude, it's flooring. Like, sorry. Like, it's not an Apple computer. It's not a Ferrari. It's not a Ducati. Like, you know what I mean?
To the average consumer, they're making this purchase once, maybe twice in their lifetime. This isn't something they buy on a relatively often basis.
Exactly. So, I mean, what are you putting out there in terms of content compared to the e-commerce retailers, compared to your local competitors? How do people know why they need to come to your showroom? And it's not telling your story about having been in business with your son for 30 years. Like, that's not it. Consumers don't care about the relationship until you earn the right to the relationship. You earn the right to the relationship by providing value. So think about, what are you putting out there before they visit the showroom? What's on the web? What do you have in the showroom? How are you interacting in the showroom? What are you doing to make the rest of the sale transparent? Those are the three big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And again, website down to the showroom floor, the interactions between you and your customer. And it doesn't just stop when you get the quote/sale. At that point, there's a whole nother after-sale process that you got to execute on.
Yeah, and explaining that's all. And if I wasn't clear, I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about, explaining too. Like, so, we're gonna come out. We're gonna do an on-site visit. We're gonna take computer. If you've got like ArcSite, who we work with, it's like, we're gonna come out there. We're gonna draw the rhythm. We're gonna do whatever, and then you're gonna give us 50% down. You'll give us the other 50% down. Then after the sale, we're gonna schedule the installation. The installation crew is gonna be there in XYZ. Know who to expect. Let them know who's going to be in their home.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
Yeah. Give them a heads up. Be there.
So just being really transparent about the whole process, I think. And do think about what happens.
You tell them there's going to be a quote, deliver it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you tell them execute on, that's another great way of maintaining the control of the sales.
Like all of that really is. All of that right there, being transparent and having the conversation, not just saying, hey, great, we'll order it and we'll give you a call sometime between now and Wednesday when it's in. Like that's a crappy experience.
That's really, everyone wants to be in control of things that they're spending money on. So I do think that, you can you start controlling the sale with the first touch. And the first touch might be something that you're not thinking about. Could be the website.
Yep.
Could be, they're looking on Google, and like, if your inventory's not on Google, like, that's only going to get bigger. It's not like Google's getting smaller.
No. And even Wayfair, same thing. Like, you go on there and actually take a look at it. Like,
right, and you can see it in the rims. And look, the manufacturers are all providing this stuff.
Yeah.
So, it's not... Like, I just think that a lot of people, when you think about it, you only think about that, like, pre-sale in the showroom. You don't think about the digital footprint. You don't think about the after-sale and kind of, like, marrying all of that together and then laying it out for your customer. At least when you have your customer in person, when they've gone from digital to showroom, from that point forward, everything should be, pretty clear. And then as you're qualifying them, the open-ended questions are what's going to help you kind of guide them.
Yeah.
If you don't ask these questions, you're not going to be able to help them. It's not about you getting a lead to get into a system to follow up with, okay? Like, it's not about that. It's about you actually helping the person.
You're the sales professional. Like, so, again, they're in there for a reason. People just don't come to window shop your furniture store or your lumber yard or your flooring store. It doesn't happen. People are there for specific reasons.
Yeah, they're actively looking. If they, like, are they going to whop down the money today? Maybe not, but like, they're there for a reason.
Yep, exactly. And to Chase's point earlier, they're going to give you the line of, like, we're just looking right now. Don't take that for what it is. Be the professional and ask them if there's something specific that they have in mind, so you can point them in the right direction.
And from my perspective, the psychology behind that isn't, don't take them for what it is, they're full of shit. It's more like, okay, cool, they're just looking, so think about how you can help them make just looking a little bit easier. Because
come back to your
experiences. If you don't ask the question, okay, like, no big deal, can I at least point you in the right direction? If they turn that down, fine, but chances are they're not, because you're going to word it in such a way that it's not oppressive. Can I at least point you in the right direction? If not a problem, but happy to, expedite the process.
And people are naturally pretty stubborn, right? And, particularly men. So, take your own experiences in mind. If you've been shopping for a hammer recently at your local hardware store, and you tell the guy that you don't need help, but yet you're walking around the store looking for the aisle that has the hammer, think about, like, that experience for you and how easy it would have been if you would have just said, hey guy, I'm looking for a hammer, and boom, aisle 4, there it is. So use these experiences. I think that's something we talked about before. A lot of times we forget is that we're consumers too.
So, everyone does, because they run every retailer you were talking about. And we've talked to them. They all expect it when they buy something, when they're a consumer. Well, it needs to be this, that, and the other. But heaven forbid they go in their own business. Oh, I don't need to do any of that. Well, hold on. If the world is buying this way and you're buying this way, why the hell do you think that you don't need to do any of this stuff?
Yeah, the investment's been different in the past, right? The investment in the past used to be just product rack, shove product. We have location. People just come to us, and boom, they're sold.
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of big retailers who have a large footprint who think within the next 5 years, they don't think their sale volume is going to go down, but they don't think they're going to need the footprint to achieve it.
Yeah, and coming back to my point here is, that used to be the investment, and we've confirmed it in the marketplace with a lot of large volume retailers. The investment now needs to shift towards this investment in processes and systems and people and training them for the consumer of not only tomorrow, but it's already here. Like, that consumer's here today.
Yeah, I'd rather take, if I got a big footprint, I'd rather have 10 really badass showrooms, yards, than have 20 kind of half-ass little ones that just
instead of stocking your store, your showroom with 100 different racks of flooring, stock it with 10 different iPads that consumers can go and flip through, and when they see something they like, head to the back and get a sample out. Different things like that you can make investments in that also help you control the sale or guide the sale, if you will, and create this memorable experience.
The environment's part of it too. It's all part of it.
So, that's definitely what in terms of what we were talking about with the controlling the sale piece. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No. Digital footprint, first interaction, showroom, yard, whatever it is. Think that through too. Make sure you're interacting and be transparent from there on about the sale and then the after sale. I think those are the 3 big ones.
Big takeaways, guys. Any questions, comments, feel free to chat in. Give us a like on Facebook. We'd love to hear from everybody. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. A lot of great content. We post these videos up there when we're done. For you audio people out there, we just recently started a podcast on SoundCloud. Check us out all at The Lead Tool or on YouTube and SoundCloud. Just check out The Lead Tool. A lot of good content on there, guys. But thanks for joining us today. We look forward next time. We do this every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So if you can make it, great. If not, you'll be able to get these recordings. Otherwise, invite your friends, invite your peers. We talk a lot about good stuff. Not always about our product. It's a lot about things that you can take in your business. So
it's never about our product.
Yeah. No plugs. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk next week.